Good afternoon, everyone. And of course, right when I go live, my stove goes off and now my dog's going to start barking.
It's a Wednesday and that's just life, right?
I know. It's time to take the sweet potato out of the oven. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. I am Nancy Quinn, business coach and body language trainer to interior designers, and I am here today with Colleen LeMay of C2 Accounting. Welcome, Colleen. How are you?
Thank you. I am good. I am good. How are
Awesome.
you?
Well, I had a webinar with about 160 people on it this morning, and my electricity went out. So I got a little flustered this morning, but I was able to get back on through the phone. Thank God. Technology can be
Technology.
fabulous, but it also sucks sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, can't live with it, can't live without it.
I know. So, all right, tell everyone what we're talking about today.
So today we're talking about why good bookkeeping still isn't enough for growing design firms.
Okay, so I understand why good bookkeeping is not enough for interior designers, but why don't you go through some of your tips as to show them why it's not enough just to have your bookkeeping done on your own or with someone who may not know the industry.
Yeah, well, I think what most designers think good bookkeeping kind of means things like the transactions are categorized, reconciliations are done, taxes are filed on time, and statements are generated monthly, right? So that's good bookkeeping. That's the basic, the core, but that's just kind of the foundation. And so, especially as a design firm or any kind of business where you're looking at understanding profitability that gets a bit deeper, you can have accurate books, but still not understand like which clients or which projects are profitable. They may not understand the cash flow. So a lot of our interior design clients and yours as well, they use profit first. So having an understanding of like not just having six bank accounts, but having a process for determining which funds are for client purchases and which funds are for like operating expenses. And so that helps you then to go, where's the money leaking? And so but they think they have good bookkeeping, but they still feel stressed about finances. And so a better bookkeeping will help them to be less stressed about finances.
I actually like that, good bookkeeping versus better bookkeeping, right?
Right,
Right.
exactly,
Better
exactly.
bookkeeping allows you to actually use your numbers to do some planning for your future, for your growth, for your maintenance, for your own personal life. Regular old just matching transactions and doing your reconciliations is just a to do.
Right.
It's not analyzing anything.
Especially when you're DIYing it, right? If you're doing it yourself, you may have even learned, maybe you learned from me on how to do it, and you are doing the thing. You're going in every week, you're categorizing once a month, you're getting those statements and you're reconciling. But when you think about it, bookkeeping records the history. And that's exactly what bookkeeping is. It's all about what happened in the past, right? But financial strategy helps you make decisions. So like you said, it's about forward thinking. And if you're a growing firm, you need financial visibility and not just financial compliance.
You're coming out with a lot of good ones today, Colleen.
Well, thank you. I try.
You always
So,
do, but these are particularly good. Like I want to grab a couple of these sentences. So, all right. So tell me what you think they should be doing.
so one of the things that some of the issues we've seen, right? Like a firm could be doing $1 million in revenue, but they're still unsure as to whether or not they can hire. Or I've seen $1 million firm have a net income, right, of like 25,000,
Or less.
and right, and
Yes.
a $500,000 firm have a net income of 100,000. So again, that top number, let's ignore it. Let's see what the bottom number looks like. And so a lot of times people are getting caught up with the revenue being high, but their margins are shrinking. And that's when you really have to understand about your gross margin. How much are you making after you actually deliver your services and all the products to your clients? Because that's going to drive the business. Your margin is what's going to be left to actually run the business, to pay for advertising, to pay for coaching, bookkeeping, to pay yourself, to pay taxes. So understanding, am I marking things up enough? Am I charging enough for my services to make sure I can actually run a business that can sustain itself? Um, you
You
don't
know
want
what
your
it is,
book.
Colleen? They
Yeah.
always lead with, what are people willing to pay? And
Ooh,
I know, and that is the wrong way to run your business. It's not about what they're willing to pay. It's about what you need to run a profitable business
right.
and then
It's
adjusting the service
yeah.
models.
And I think sometimes it's about finding the right client for their businesses. And this is
Very
obviously
much.
moving away from bookkeeping, but I can speak as a business owner myself. In the past, when we all get started, we all charge like these stupid low rates because we're just getting started. We don't feel like we've earned the right to charge more. We don't know what the market would bear. So you go back and you realize, wow, I was literally giving away my knowledge. I was giving away my expertise. And so
Yes.
when clients are paying for stuff, especially when you're charging hourly, you don't want to trade your time for dollars. You really are trading your expertise. Like not only are you selling them like, here's a pretty room, but you're selling them less stress about creating that pretty room, right? The
So
stress of
true.
not having to manage the installers and the contractors and all that stuff. You're taking that off their plates and making sure you're charging enough for that.
Yes,
So that's why you
absolutely.
need your books to be clean, but you also need them to be able to tell you something so you can make sure that you're paying yourself enough for all the stuff, all the services that you're providing for those clients.
Definitely. They really don't have a job for their money sometimes and understanding what buckets things should go in.
Yes, I think that's a good point. And even with the profit first method, sometimes it just becomes the idea of having multiple bank accounts without, like you said, a purpose for those bank accounts. Like
Yes.
if you are putting money into profit, why is it there? What are you going to
Right.
do with that money,
What's
right?
the
Is it
intention of that
what's the
money?
intention? Owners compensation. Like, do you need to take money out and put into a separate account? So here's a funny thing. I've seen people set up an owner's draw account. They transfer money, say $5,000 from their operating account to owner's draw, and in the same breath transfers the 5,000 from owner's draw to their personal account. And I'm like, why are we doing this?
If you're
Why are
doing it in the
we?
same moment, it really makes
It
no
doesn't make
sense.
a
It's
difference,
just
right?
an extra step.
It's different if you were like every week I'm going to put $1,000 over, and then once a month I'm going to transfer it. So also
Exactly.
helping to understand like not just going through the steps, but what's the intention behind like things like profit first. Like why are we doing what we do so that it makes sense and not just creating more stress.
Yeah, I mean, profit first is really about making sure you're not looking at your operating expense account and thinking you're wealthy beyond what you
Yes,
really are, right? If we put it in the
exactly.
simplest terms, every bucket is meant to have a job, but if it's not done in a certain way, it's just extra work.
It's extra work. Well, and then procurement creates like revenue and cash. It complicates your revenue and cash flow because you get these large client deposits, and it creates this false sense of confidence, like you said, like how much is really yours. And so, a lot of the interior design software, well, when you run a report, you can see what your markup was. And so, what I've been teaching my clients is that the markup for sure is yours. Right. So let's say you build them 50,000 and out of that 50,000, 10,000 was markup, you can confidently put the 10,000 into your operating account. Now, some people go, if you need a cushion just in case of overages, maybe you do only 8,000, but you can know this much is mine, and then your service revenue that's yours. Right,
Yes.
tax money that's not yours. Don't even put it should go somewhere else. And when you start thinking strategically like that, it helps you to feel like not only am I making money as a business, but I have cash that I can know I can afford to take the vacation, or I can afford to rent space, or I can afford to hire someone.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so, ooh, how many tips did we give? I lost count.
Oh, let's see here. Oh, that's a good question. I don't even think I was counting. I think we just started talking.
Yeah,
So
we
I
did.
don't. We can kind of recap. I don't. I stopped counting for sure.
Okay.
Um, Another big one about specifically about interior designers and their bookkeeping is a little different is like we just talked about the design software. So if they're using House Pro or Programma or Design Files or Material, understanding how that integration works with QuickBooks, making sure it's set up correctly. And if they are DIYing this themselves, or if they are working with a bookkeeper that doesn't have a lot of experience with interior designers, that they understand that you need to reconcile that the revenue that's in the software to what's in QuickBooks. Because as we know, syncing is not always perfect.
Nope.
And I've seen in a lot of your Facebook group, especially when people go, I stopped using this, or I stopped syncing this over to design files to QuickBooks because it doesn't work. Well,
Right.
it was recording my revenue twice, but
Right.
that's not the case. there is a distinct process you have to follow to make sure that things are being recorded correctly. So if you are doing it yourself, at least getting some help to understand what that process is, so that you're not doing double the work. I talked to someone just literally yesterday where she was actually invoicing and design files, but because her bookkeeper is not an interior design bookkeeper, she then has to go back and manually enter her invoices into QuickBooks because the bookkeeper was like, oh, it's messing it up, so we can't have it syncing. And I'm like, no, you can. There's just a
Yeah.
process.
Yes, you just have to follow a process. I think it's so important that so many people jump ship on software they're using rather than learn more about it and learn how it works.
Mm.
So I think that's a
Hmm.
great point that if you're in one of these programs that syncs with QuickBooks, there's a process to making sure it's being done right on your end as well as their end, right? So don't just jump
Exactly.
ship, try to learn. Do you give sessions for people who are trying to learn the
Yeah, we
details?
do. We do training. Yeah, we do customized training. What I love about customized training is that I'm not just going to sit here and just talk a bunch of stuff to you. It's like, well, what are you struggling with? Let's design the training around that, and that way, it's actually a good use of your time and money.
Love it. Love it. I think everyone needs to do that. When you're stuck in the bookkeeping vortex where your books are just getting worse and worse, and you look at it and everything's out of sync and you have no one to ask a question to, it's really frustrating and it's stressful.
You've heard people say, I don't like numbers, and especially interior designs. I'm creative. I don't like numbers, right? I don't
Yes.
think they said they don't like numbers. They hate confusion. And when your books are messy, it creates confusion. And what they're hoping to get from someone is some sort of like emotional clarity and emotional calm related to their finances. Because
Yes.
they're doing the thing, they know they can sell, they know they can design beautiful spaces, but this part of the business is stressing them out. And so they've internalized that as that they're doing something wrong. And I'll get on calls with designers and they feel bad that they don't understand accounting lingo or accounting terms or bookkeeping. I'm going, why would you? Like, you didn't go to school for this. You didn't get into business to do this. So why would you beat yourself up? I mean, and it's so funny because I'll sit there and go, we'll start talking about, wallpaper. I just told you I'm redecorating my own house. And you start talking about pattern repeats on wallpaper. And I'm like, girl, I don't, that's, you're
What does that
so,
mean?
exactly.
And how do
But
I fix
and,
it?
so, you as a designer would go, well, it's not your job to understand pattern repeats. It's my job as the designer to do that. And I'm flipping it right back on them. It's not your job to walk in, especially on day one, to working with C2 accounting, to be like, I need to know all this. No, we can get you to where you're at least you could have your conversant in in financial lingo. But please don't feel bad that this is not your area of expertise. It shouldn't be, because this is not why
Right.
you got into business.
Right. It's not your business. So you know what? The goal is to have the funds in your bank accounts that you can hire someone like Colleen to do this for you, right? Or to train you. I get the fact that a lot of people want to do it themselves and maintain that control and save the money. That's
Right.
fine. But learn how to do it right before you do it. Don't do what I did. I messed up my books fully before I hired someone who actually knew what they were doing.
Yes.
Not a smart move. Try to do it as early as possible. It's always the first hire I tell everybody they need is a
And
book.
people think that you have to go full on. Like, that we have introduced our, well, we used to be called the DIY supported tier, it's now called our empowerment tier. So for people who still want to DIY their bookkeeping, we can support them, but they're not doing it alone. They're DIYing it, but they have someone in their back pocket when things come up and to ask questions. And paying for peace of mind is good. That's why we all have insurance, right? Peace of mind
Exactly.
is just a really good thing. So.
Yes, it's huge. Okay, did
Yeah,
we cover
exactly.
everything yet?
I
Good.
think we did, but let's talk about really quickly, kind of this. I think this kind of summarized everything we said.
Let's
So,
do it.
what designers actually need from their bookkeeping as they grow, accurate bookkeeping, which is like the foundation, industry specific workflows, making sure that your workflows are not just for any business, but they're for interior design business, that
Right.
you've taken the time to properly set up your software, be it QuickBooks, be it your entire design software, be it your Stripe account, like whatever you're using, make sure it's all set up correctly,
Right.
that you understand cash flow and have a process for maintaining cash flow. And when you're ready, that you're actually looking at profitability and understanding that. And then you have someone in your pocket that can help you translate your numbers into plain English.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because growing firms, they don't just need transaction processing. You can probably get someone to do that for $150 a month. Probably not well, but they can try. But what
Yeah.
you really need is, as a growing firm, is kind of a financial partnership.
Yes. Someone who you can ask questions, understand the terminology, the flow of the money, what decisions you need to be making, all of that. All right.
Right.
Tell everyone how to find you.
C2-accounting, spelled out now,
Oh,
.com.
yay.
Yes, we have it. It's correct.
Oh my God, that's exciting. Okay. And they can get on a calendar free 15, 20 minutes with you?
I think it's 30 minutes. We have a free 30-minute introductory call so they get to understand how we work. I get to understand about their business, and then we can talk next steps.
Okay, so I just want to reiterate to people when you bring on a new client, I always say the client is giving approval to go into your system because you're the expert in what you do, right? With Colleen, it's her system and it works. It's great. They do the bookkeeping work. They send you the monthly report. You can get on a calendar and talk to somebody, Colleen, about. I'm reversed with my camera, so I'm always like, wait, which way is Colleen?
That's okay.
Wait, she's somewhere this way. She's that way. Having somebody in your corner when it comes to your bookkeeping is extremely important. So get on to C2 Accounting, get on Colleen's calendar, make sure that you are working with a bookkeeper that you feel comfortable with and that can translate all the accounting terms into English so you understand. So
Exactly. And if you are using third-party software like Design Files or House Pro and your bookkeeper does not understand how they're supposed to integrate, please find a bookkeeper that understands interior design. Save yourself the headache. You should not
absolutely.
be entering things twice.
Oh my God, definitely not. All right. Thank you, Colleen.
Thank you. Have a good week, everyone.
We'll see you next